Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, excited to be here.
We are going to be looking at this really cool piece called Solo Bliss, celebrating the magic of being by yourself.
Nice.
So much good stuff in there about, how to appreciate and benefit from just spending time with yourself, which I think we can all relate to needing a little bit more of in our crazy busy world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem a little counterintuitive, right? Like
Mm.
in a world that's constantly telling us to connect and network and put ourselves out there to kind of like retreat inward and focus on being alone. But that's exactly what this piece encourages us to do, and it makes a really compelling case for it.
Yeah, it does. So let's jump into one of the first big things that it talks about, which is finding peace in your own company. Really
Right.
connecting with your true self when it's just you and quiet.
Right. It's like all that external noise gets stripped away, right?
Right.
You're not filtering through other people's opinions or expectations. And suddenly the things that really matter to you, the kind of underlying patterns of your thoughts, they can bubble up to the surface.
It's like decluttering your mind.
Exactly. And the bees actually give some really practical ways to do this, like you mentioned solo walks, going for a walk by yourself, or like quiet meditation as ways to just kind of tune in to your inner state and maybe find a little more calm in the middle of a hectic week. I'm curious, like, what resonates with you about that idea of finding peace and being alone?
Well, I think for me, what I like is that it's almost like a permission slip to just be, and not have to be performing or anything like
I
that.
just exist.
Yeah, exactly. And from there, the piece moves on to something else that I think is really important, which is rediscovering what you love.
Yeah, it's so easy to lose sight of those things, right? Like,
Yeah.
life just gets so demanding. And those activities that once brought you joy, maybe they got pushed to the side because of work or family obligations or just the general busyness of life. But being alone, it provides this awesome opportunity to reconnect with those forgotten passions.
Totally. And the piece gives some great examples, right? Like painting or reading, or maybe finally learning that new skill you've always been meaning to pick up.
Right, or maybe
Yeah.
it's dusting off that old guitar that's been sitting in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Or, picking up those knitting needles again.
Yeah, so it's like a little invitation to ask yourself, what have you been meaning to get back to, or what new curiosity could you explore if you had a little dedicated alone time?
Yeah, it's like giving yourself permission for fun, which I love.
Yeah.
And speaking of permission, the piece goes on to talk about celebrating your independence and that feeling of being complete and whole just on your own.
Which is huge, right? Because so often we're conditioned to believe that we need external validation or the company of others to feel fulfilled. But this piece flips that script entirely.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing your own worth and enjoying your own experiences without needing anyone else's approval.
Totally. And I love how it suggests things like taking yourself out on a date or treating yourself to something special as ways to really celebrate that self-sufficiency.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, I'm awesome and I'm going to enjoy my own company and not just, tolerate it.
Right. And then another big aspect of solo bliss that the piece highlights is the freedom of choice.
Oh, yeah, because when you're alone, you're the captain of your own ship, right? Like
Yeah.
you get to decide how you spend your day, what music you listen to, what you eat.
All the little decisions that add up to a really satisfying experience.
Exactly. And what's interesting here is that it's not just about being physically alone. It's about that sense of autonomy, of being in control of your environment and your experiences. Even something as simple as indulging in a spontaneous decision can feel surprisingly liberating when you're on your own.
Now, before we wrap up, this piece, Solo Bliss, is all about the positive aspects of choosing to be alone, right? But it is really important for us to acknowledge that for a lot of people, being alone isn't a choice. It's a reality that can lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation. And there are some fantastic resources out there, like the LPot Community, that are dedicated to helping people who are struggling with loneliness.
Yeah, that's such a crucial distinction to make because the solo bliss that we're talking about is about intentionally carving out time for yourself. And often those moments of solitude, they can lead to feelings of peace and rejuvenation.
Hmm.
But loneliness, on the other hand, is often characterized by this really painful sense of lacking connection that you actually crave. So it's not the same thing at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into Solo Bliss today, I think we've really seen how powerful and valuable it can be to intentionally spend time alone It's about getting to know ourselves better, building our independence, and just finding ways to enjoy life on our own terms. And I think ultimately it's about celebrating our own unique journeys and finding that quiet sense of peace that comes from within.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's really about understanding that those moments of solitude, they can actually enrich our lives in so many ways.
So here's a final thought for you to take with you today. Think about one small way you could intentionally embrace a little solo bliss in the next few days. Maybe it's taking a walk in nature by yourself, or spending an hour reading a book, or just sitting in silence with a cup of tea. Whatever it is, see what you notice about yourself and about the world around you when you give yourself that space to just be. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
See you next time.